Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Combo Breaker 99. I'm back with another video. All right, y'all, back with this second part to the video I did yesterday to Rose Namajunas in her interview with Ariel Hwani. This video, I want to just talk about Zhang Weili and her interview with MMA Hour and just kind of talk about her thoughts on the whole crowd issue and where she's at mentally. I want to kind of go into that situation. As y'all know, her interview was done like the beginning of October, but I had to go back and watch it again. The language barrier, and somebody already told me that the translation was a bit choppy in this one. They said it was a bit choppy and some things were missed. So I just wanted to go back and read the actual text to the one big question that, everybody's been asking her about, the comments Rose made and the crowd issue. I just want to talk about that because I want to kind of go in on her body language this time around and to see if it really affected her mentally and where she's been at with it. But first off, just kind of listening to her, it just seems kind of like she's taking the same approach as always. You know what I mean? I don't really think she's really salty or really making like these big excuses. I think she's just a fighter from a different culture that's answering questions here. Like if Ariel Hwani asks her a question, I think that she's just it's just in her to respond. It's not like some Americans, they're used to the BS and they're used to the trolling. So they'll just say next question and they'll snap back and say something smart. Like even Joanna, she's been here long enough. It's just in her character. Like if somebody asks her a crazy question, she knows how to snap back like she did to that one reporter a while back, like the Conor McGregor question. With Zhang Weili, though, if she gets tired of answering something, she won't show it, or she won't, well, she might show it, but she won't say it. She'll just go into the whole thing and just give you the answer that you probably wanted to hear. And, not necessarily like the words you want to hear, but, she's giving you an answer. She's there to answer your questions. And she's the type of person I think is in her character to be, humble and respectable. That's why I say like their culture is different. That's why when you bring in politics, it kind of shakes them up a bit. That's why I don't really think Zhang Weili is making like full on excuses like, oh, Rose, I hate Rose. No, I ain't giving her no credit. It wasn't like that. It was really the crowd, which I'll talk about here in a minute. She just doesn't really know how to adjust to that. It's something new to them, especially just like with answering these questions. It's not like she's making excuses again. Ariel Hwani brought it up. So she's answering the question. That's what it all comes down to. So this is the response that she gave. She said, I think it definitely affected me a little bit. The comments that Rose made, I think she was successful in making the audience boo me, but I think that's my own problem because I should be concentrating on the fight and not the audience. I can't control who the audience likes, so I'm becoming more focused on my own fight. So she did address that. She did address that. She said that the comments were successful in making the audience boo her. And I think like I said, I think that was part of Rose's strategy as well. Rose was in a position where she couldn't get up for the fight. I don't know if I mentioned that in my last video. It's like Rose has to get up for fights. Like Rose can perform. She can perform in a big fight, no doubt. Like she can perform to an A level in the biggest fight. But if she can't find nothing to stand for in it, it's kind of hard for her. She's not like a consistent champion like Valentina Shevchenko and Rose. I'm going to do like a video one day and compare them. I know a lot of people will hate me for that, but I don't care. I'm going to tell you why Valentina is a much better consistent champion than Rose is. Hate me, love me, I don't care. Valentina is more consistent champion because she does it for her. She does it because she likes to reap the rewards of what she did in the gym. You know what I mean? When it comes down to training, she does it because she loves to improve herself. She's all about self-improvement. And that's why she can perform to a high level in every fight, and she gets up for every fight. Anybody from Jessica Eye to Lauren Murphy. For Rose has to get up for these fights. You know what I mean? Like Rose, Joanna gave her something big. Second time around in the rematch with Joanna, it was there, but it still wasn't there as much because the fight was still back and forth. She wasn't there for the Jessica Andrade fight, but for so long, and she lost it. You saw what happened. Then in the second fight with Jessica Andrade, she was there a little bit, then she was kind of up and down. The Zhang Weili fight comes along, just like the first Joanna fight, and boom, she's there. There was something there to really, really make her excel. And what was it that made her excel? It was those mental games. It was that psychological game that she played there. She could play that hero-heel tactic, that hero-heel strategy that she does. She wants to be seen as that big dog. She wants to be seen as the hero where everybody's behind her and everybody hates the other fighter. You know what I mean? So the comments were successful. They made the crowd turn on Zhang Weili. I'm not gonna lie, they did. But again, like she said, she should have been concentrating on that. It was her fault. And yes, Rose did make it play into her favor. And yes, Zhang Weili was wrong. She should have been focusing on the fight. And that's why I say, like, to be a complete fighter, you really have to focus on everything. You have to have a strategy on everything, on how to deal with the referee, how to deal with the judges and the referee if they're not on your side, and how to block out the crowd. There should be like tactics for everything. The same way Floyd Mayweather does. He and Valentina Shevchenko, they're so much about themselves and self-improving that they're there for themselves, and that's it. They're there to entertain the crowd, of course. Like, you're gonna take what they like, you're gonna take what they you're gonna take in their performance. But when it comes down to it, they're there for them. So that's why it's tunnel vision when they get to the octagon. It's tunnel vision. See, for Zhang Weili, she has to master that. She didn't have tunnel vision. She probably never had it. She probably thought she had it when she was fighting it, over in her country. And then when she first came over to the U.S., it was just something that she never focused on because everybody was cheering, and she, everybody is used to cheers. Coming here, they're thinking, oh, they love me, they love me. But the minute the tone and the pitch changes in the audience, it's like, uh-oh. It's like, uh-oh, it offsets something. So she needed tunnel vision from the jump. That's why that was her fault. That was on her. But, moving forward, like she said, she needs to focus on her own fight, and she better do that forever. And you in this game forever, you always need that tunnel vision. So for her, I don't think she's making that as an excuse now, but she's just telling you that, hey, that's what happened. That's what happened. That's what it was. That took her out of her game plan. That took her out of her mindset. I mean, it was still a technical mistake. It was still a technical mistake, and it could have came in the fight anyway, because that was a hole in her game we seen. But I think that, yeah, she wasn't there. I think she wasn't there for the most part, and that's something that she needs to master. She also said this, in my mind, I think that, yes, those comments crossed the line. This was when, she was talking about the communist comments. In my mind, I think that, yes, those comments crossed the line, because I think all the audience, all the fighters, we all come together in the UFC because we all share the passion of the MMA sport. In my mind, I'm coming here because I want to make friends, because we all have the common love of martial arts. I think it's not a good idea to mix sports with politics, but I think that's maybe her plan. So in the beginning, I thought it was just a kind of a trash talk. Zhang said it didn't really affect me. But when I went out in the stadium and got booed, I think Rose wanted to use those comments to make the audience boo me. So going back up here, where she says the comments crossed the line. Yeah, I agree with that. They did. They did cross the line. You know what I mean? That's why I say, like, it's one thing to play the psychological game with somebody. I'm cool with that. But when you kind of cross the line and you do bring politics into the sport, and you turn it into like a political thing, a race war, that's overstepping the boundaries. You know what I mean? They can just go ahead and say, oh, I can play the super badass woman from America, and that'll flow. Everybody's gonna be against the next person. You know what I mean? So if she just says the right things, it'll trigger people here in America, and then boom, everybody's booing you, Zhang Weili. You know what I mean? So that's something you have to prepare for. Like, again, you have to study your opponents even outside of the octagon and out of the ring. Like, whenever you're, taking on like these special opponents and what it is about them, you have to know them. That's why Bernard Hopkins said, even back in the day, like, even with physical things like shaking people's hands, you would kind of get to know them. Or he would, like, Andre Ward said this about Bernard Hopkins. He said Bernard, when he would meet somebody, he would like pat him on the chest or on the stomach, and just kind of check them out to see if they were already in shape, just to see what type of fighter they were. Little things like that, or even like his approach to looking them in the eye, and how they take certain remarks made. You know what I mean? Even like Floyd Mayweather does that. So there should be a time when they kind of research their opponent like that. They got to get in some way, get close to them if they know that's somebody they're going to fight one day, or go out of their way to try to see them, to see what they're about, because I think that's a big part of helping you fight that person mentally and get the mental edge over them. Because yeah, going into this fight here, Rose Namajunas, she needed something. She needed something. She didn't know anything about Zhang Weili, so it's kind of making it hard to get up for the fight. And then boom, she comes out with this. She comes out with this. But again, like I said, for Zhang Weili, that's probably not in her mindset. It's gonna be something she needs in the future. Moving over here to America and fighting for the UFC. It's not like in China. It's just regular martial arts where we fight. It's gonna be a lot of dirty tactics out of the out of the octagon as well. So yeah, I think they did cross the line, like I said, because there's certain things you do have to watch what you say if you are a certain type of person in America. Let's be real. If I'm, me, if I there's certain things that I say, people are going to take it the wrong way, or if said by somebody else, they might like it because that's what the majority likes. You know what I mean? So, but like she said, she thought it started off as trash talk, which she probably didn't understand until, like I said, the booze came in and a lot of translation got back to her. And then she was probably like, well, maybe it ain't that bad. But then when she heard the crowd, it just kind of shook her up, right? So yeah, the crowd, winning the crowd over, Rose Namajunas winning the crowd over, it worked in her favor. Like I said, that's a mental tactic, that's a strategy. But as for what she was saying about, coming over here and, everybody having the one love for mixed martial arts, I do agree with that. It is a melting pot with martial arts. I do respect the fact that, she wants to make friends and, have a camaraderie with some people. But again, it's martial arts, but it's also the fight game. It's a business. It's martial arts, but it's a business. It's martial arts, but it's a fight game. You can't be friends with everybody here because you got to think about it. Like, you're standing in somebody's way of becoming that champion, and that's how they see it. That's why a lot of fighters don't really want to be friends, because they see you as taking food out of their baby's mouth. You know what I mean? Or like I said, you're standing in the way of their legacy, and eventually one day they're gonna have to fight you. That's why it's not really about friendship. That's why I disagree with that. Respect is a must always, because yeah, you have to respect what that person does and vice versa. That's why I say I really just wanted them to go in there the first time around and just have a respectful fight. And that's why I say for Rose, I had to take points away from her, because I just wanted her to be quiet like she usually is and just be humble, and let Zhang Weili stay humble and do her thing and just show off your skills. Don't go into all of this political talk like, oh, I got this on my back. I'm waving this flag and I'm doing it for these people. Do it for you. Do it for you. I know Valentina Shevchenko, she rocks her flag and she does it for her country, but she's doing it for her. She's doing it for her. That's how you self-improve. You don't self-improve by tearing another person down or trying to make enemies by, putting out false information. You know what I mean? Especially if that person, okay, maybe they are communists, or maybe they're just because they're from China, or because they're communists. You know what I mean? Like, does that make her a bad person? No, that's her way of life. That's where she came from. You know what I mean? So there's just a lot of things here that really kind of dug deep, and it made it bigger than it was. It's crazy because we talk about what went on the outside much more than what went on the inside, because in the octagon, it was only a few seconds, right? That's what makes the whole thing crazy. But that just shows you, man, like how important the mental part of this game is. You know what I mean? Because I'd say that I was talking to a fighter one time. This was a long time ago, just face to face. While he was running, and we were running. Well, we were running together, and I asked him, like how much mental is actually put in the sport of boxing, because he's a boxer, and he said at least a good 97 and 98%. That's why you can see, like, sometimes you were just sparring and doing physical work, it's not as exhausting. You can keep going, but like when you're actually in a fight, when you're preparing for a fight, you can get that adrenaline dump or have that mental anxiety, and it'll just throw you off your whole game. You'll have that mental freeze up. So actual fight is different than sparring, because sometimes you go into spar just to kind of, work out and relieve some tension. It's therapy. But whenever you actually perform it in a fight, there's that mental aspect, and that's exhausting. So some fighters, they have that drop when they get out, So yeah, the mental part is big, man. It's big. That's why, something I just wanted to talk about here again. And for Zhang Weili this time around, she just can't focus on the crowd. You just can't focus on the crowd. And in my opinion, I really didn't think she had to make that many great changes. I'll talk about this in another video, as far as hooking up with Henry Cejudo in Arizona. Maybe it was kind of good just to get used to the American culture. But as far as her changing the whole camp and making so many great changes, I don't think that's something that she really needed to do, because the fight only lasted so long and it was just one mistake she made. Who knows, like, if she could get past that one mistake and improve her defense, everything else that she had before hooking up with Henry Cejudo would work in her favor, right? everything that she had before that would still probably work in her favor, because I knew she had a lot of these strengths. Like even when I broke down my keys to victory, I said that, Zhang Weili has this, she has the physical strength, she does have the body work, she has the brawling style. It's just a matter of keeping her defense tight. So if she would have just tightened up on her defense, that's probably all she really needed, because I think her wrestling and her grinding style would have been effective if she eventually got there. So to get on the inside, um, she just has to be quicker with it and don't spend, minutes upon minutes on the outside where Rose Namajunas can get full extension off of her kicks and her punches. So I think it was just like a simple technical mistake, but that simple technical mistake really really cost her, and it made them feel like, oh, we got to change everything. It made me feel, oh, we got to change everything. And it wasn't really like, let's say, like Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. It wasn't like so many changes that needed to be made. Like for Wilder, I think going into a Tyson Fury fight, there needed to be more changes as far as setting himself up as a puncher, because he's known as, a guy with knockout power in the right hand. There needed to be some time and growth to getting used to being a boxer puncher, being more of a methodical puncher. You got to learn how to set up the left hand. You got to learn how to throw that jab more, and you got to learn how to fight. You got to learn how to pace yourself in every round and not go for knockouts. Your heart has to get used to that. Your mental has to get used to that point where you're like, oh man, like I like fighting three minutes around now. Not always trying to go for the knockout with that adrenaline pumping. See, Deontay Wilder was that type of fighter to try to go in there and knock you out, so his adrenaline's pumping always on 100 to kill, not break down my opponent, torture him, then kill him. You know what I mean? You need that type of mind state sometimes. So for Zhang Weili, I think that she still had that, but she just got shorted quick because of that one mistake that she needed to correct. I think maybe a couple mistakes that she needs to correct, and that would be cool. But we'll see what happens from here with Henry Cejudo. You know what I mean? Like we'll see what type of changes he's made in her. Maybe he's getting more comfortable, like I said, on American soil. Maybe that'll help. Maybe that'll be a benefit. And she was a good wrestler already, in my opinion, but maybe he's adding more to her game to make her wrestling better. So yeah, man, my final thoughts, like I said, Zhang Weili from here, like I said, I still respect her as a fighter. We've had many a fighter before make excuses, and I mean make excuses on top of excuses. You know what I mean? So I'm not really new to this. I mean, she still seems like a humble fighter. And like I said, she just came from this background, where they don't trash talk like this. Again, she said that. Like she said that in the interview prior to that, whenever I remember the Mike Tyson comments got to her. She was like, America, their approach to fighting is different. There's more bragging and more banter like that. There's more bragging and boasting, where here it's more focused on the fight and the humbleness. So the boos, I think they did add to the effect. They did add to the effect. It was something new to her. But years and years of just looking at the UFC and how Americans fight, you should know that should be a level that you have to study and master on its own, for real. So that's a part of being a complete fighter. Beating the crowd. People always kind of leave out that part of the game, but that's a part of it, man. You got to know how to beat that crowd and own them, just the same way you're going to beat that opponent that same night. But yeah, guys, let me know in the comment section what y'all think. Yeah, from here, I just want a good fight. I want to see what they can do with, just their technical aspect here in the mental game in the octagon. No more BS talk, no more politics, no more none of that, not from Rose. I want them to just be quiet this time, and I just want them to fight. I just want a good fight between two mixed martial artists. And, that's just it. That's just how I want it to go this time around. That's pretty much all I got on this video. Like I said, we'll talk some more in my next podcast episode. But I just want to get all these thoughts out of my mind, even about Zhang Weili and what she needs to do as far as, her mental space in this fight. Like I said, she just needs to make sure she can walk that tunnel, just keep that tunnel vision, leave everybody out, and just think self-improvement like those real champions like Valentina Shevchenko, Demetrius Johnson, Floyd Mayweather, Israel Adesanya, those fighters that want self-improvement, and they know how to work the crowd. Don't let the crowd work them. So this time around, I just want a good fight. Hopefully Rose keeps her mouth closed about anything political this time. So guys, let me know in the comment section what y'all think from here. We'll talk some more. I'm ready. And yeah, I still got to break this thing down, how I think it'll go this time, guys. Let me know in the comment section what y'all think. Combo Breaker 99. I'm out. Subscribe. Peace.